Cause your feet was on the vibe all night. Welcome to the show. It's T with D. DJ spinning tracks. Got that reggae spree. Tune in the dots. Let the vibes be free. Late night session. Sip that turbo key. Coming on the electro, sing it on TNN. Hope you're feeling right, cause we got the vibe so grand. Get cozy on the wine. With dudes that you be man. Tea with pizza spot. The best in podcast land. Welcome to the show. It's T with D. DJ spinning tracks. Got that reggae spree. Tune in the dots. Let the vibes be free. Late night session. Sip that turbo key. Coming on the electro. Sing it on TNN. Hope you're feeling right. Cause we got the vibe so grand. Get cozy on the wine. With dudes that you be man. Tea with pizza spot. The best in podcast land. Welcome back, listeners, to our cozy nook. Where the beats go like pages in a favorite book. Settling, feel the rhythm in every hook. Tonight's the night, let's dance and cook. You have a great time, make yourself at home. In this rhythmic zone, where the melodies from. See with pizza legs out, where the music keeps you warm. Join the jam, find your peace in the storm. Welcome to the groove, it's tea with me tonight. Feel the reggae flow, let it make the world right. Come and find your comfort, you meet each other's right. With every track we spin, you take you to new heights. It's our place to chill, with rhythm that's in chance. Join us the moment, let's give you all the chance. Come up the sweet serenades, let the music down. Open up in my brain time, as we're all in action. Welcome to the show. It's T with D. DJ spinning tracks. Got that reggae spree. Tune in the dots. Let the vibes be free. Late night session. Sip that turbo key. Coming on the electro. Sing it on TNN. Hope you're feeling right. Cause we got the vibe so grand. Get cozy on the wine. With dudes that you be man. Tea with pizza spot. The best in podcast land. Welcome to the show. It's T with D. DJ spinning tracks. Got that reggae spree. Tune in the dots. Let the vibes be free. Late night session. Sip that turbo key. Coming on the electro. Sing it on TNN. Hope you're feeling right. Cause we got the vibe so grand. Get cozy on the wine. With dudes that you be man. Tea with pizza spot. The best in podcast land. Hey, good night, folks. It's time to unwind. Think favorite tracks. Leave your stress behind. Welcome to the show. This song was just for you. Tea with peas, your proof. Where dreams is getting you. Coming on the electro, sing it on TNN. Hope you're feeling right, cause we got the vibe so grand. Get cozy on the wine. With dudes that you demand. Tea with peas, the spot. Leave your sweet podcast land.
Our little project, our little company, had a very big night. A very big night. But it wasn't complete. Wasn't nearly close to being in the same vicinity as complete. Because I couldn't share it with you. I couldn't hear your voice or laugh about it with you. I miss my wife. We live in a cynical world. Cynical world. And we work in a business of tough competitors. I miss you. I love you. You complete me. I'm not just as...
Shut up. Just shut up. You had me at Stash Blend.
I never said stash blend.
You had me at Stash Blend.
Okay. But that's for the garden. Beneficial bacteria, humic acid, silica, mycorrhizae.
Did you listen to anything I said?
Fuck it.
Are you focused on what matters most? Order your Stash Blend today and enjoy 20% off for $4.20.
I can't believe got me so close, and I will gonna take you traveling the world. I'm gonna love you, babe. Cross my heart and hope to die.
Boom! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are warm, kicking it fly today, baby. Turns out I might have made that ad for a 420 sale. Whoops. Is it? It's not 420, is it?
Nope.
I didn't think so, man. Good to see everybody for pulling up, man. I appreciate you guys. It's Thursday, and that only means two things. It's the day before Friday, and it's time for a little bit of Tea with P, where the T is beer and the P is me, and you and I are here to talk about all things canna, nudes, culture, science, health, you name it, nothing is off the table, baby, and it sure feels great. Man, it's good to see so many smiling faces in the chat. I see Dro House pulling up. Come on, I got my chat right here. I see Dro House pulling up, man. High Plains Bud is in the house. Good to see you, man. Grow Ohio, holla. Good to see you, my friend. Kurt, what's up, my friend? Dank as Basement Grow, good to see you. Reg, the hardest guy to at in the chat, what is up, my guy? As always, it's a pleasure to see you, my friends. Matt is in the house. Matthew Lawson, good to see you, friend. You look smarter, Kurt. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. It's my hat. I turned it backwards. Hell yeah, got these glasses on. Yep. I've got a brand new pair of glasses, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look. What do you think? What do you think? I went with the big, bold, beautiful 70s look. I wanted big ass frames, and then I didn't realize the advantage of having big ass frames. You can see through the lens without seeing the frame. It's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited about it. Now, I don't know. I got my other ones here because I don't think I'm going to last all night because this is my first day with them. I've only had them for a couple hours, and like my eyes are like, a little bit all over the place. So I got these ones. I'll probably switch in a little bit here, but for right now, this is them, man. This is them. You look hood. All right, that's not really the description I was expecting, but hey, hood is a great way to turn up, man, especially a guy in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Mrs. P, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad to hear you're good.
Yeah.
We got a heck of a show in store, don't we?
We do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the top of the hour, we sit down with Javier Hasse, the editor-in-chief for the High Times magazine. Yes, the editor-in-chief for the High Times magazine is going to be in studio on the TV, talking all things nudes, culture, science, health. You name it, nothing's going to be off the table. We're going to talk rescheduling, and we're going to talk about what it's like to work for High Times magazine, man. So I'm really stoked about that. Huge shout out to Javier. We're going to be meeting up with him at the top of the hour. So shout out, top of the next hour. So shout out to him. That's going to be a banger of an epi, guys. Banger of an epi, because High Times has been in the nudes quite a bit lately, whether it's in regards to the articles that they're writing about or whether it's in regards to the total flip and identity crisis that they're currently going through right now. And I think it's a great opportunity to sit down with Javier, the editor-in-chief for the magazine, and hash it all out, man. So that's going to come up in about 60 minutes. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about a few different things today. We got to give my opinion on snitches. All right, we're going to give my opinion on snitches and whether or not we should platform them or not. Texas is expanding. We've got my opinion on, does it have to be reschedule? Does it have to be deschedule? Or is there a third option in there? All that and so much more. But before we do that, Mrs. P, did you catch that sighting with me earlier this morning?
Are you talking about the cow?
The cow.
I did.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we have raw footage. I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen. Woke up this morning, I saw a UFO. A UFO, and it was sucking up a cow, dude. You can go show them. I'm not shitting you. Look at this. Look at this. I saw this in real time, ladies and gentlemen. That cow is gone. Nobody knows what happened to that cow, man. Look at that. Enhance.
I don't know that I can.
Okay.
No.
All right.
X is awful for that.
It's fine. No big deal. But what I like is that you can see the streams that are coming down, that are beaming down from that UFO. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was so bright, so overwhelming. Shout out to the Curator Co. Man, this is who does these photos, man. And in spirit of next month and the Halloween feels, we also got ourselves something spooky as well. Something spooky. Check this out.
I love this one.
Ooh, we got some spooky. This is compliments of the Curator Co. over on X. Man, there are some very, very special accounts over there that have got some wicked photos and content, and you won't be missing out. So go and make sure you check that.
I love this little beret.
Isn't that something?
It's so cute.
I thought he broke out of an acorn. And he got stuck on his head.
Pumpkin, maybe?
Yes.
Maybe. It looks more like a beret to me.
Pumpkin style. David Wallman says, I'll dab to that, baby. I'll dab to that, man. Yeah. Yo, what's up? Mr. CLTV pulling up as well, man. Good to see you. John Lindsay is in the chat as well. Good to see you, John. Homegrower, good to see you too, man. High Plains Bud is in the house. Good to see everybody, man. Thank you guys all for pulling up, man. We got a lot to talk about in such little time tonight. Just a reminder, we will not be here on the 25th of September. No show on the 25th of September, okay? Keep that in mind because Mrs. P and I are heading out to a night on the town. Night on the town.
We have to schedule date nights now.
We schedule date nights. That's married life for you. And so, no show on the 25th of September, all right? Mark my words and mark it in your calendars, folks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I saw you guys token here. What are you token on? Now that everybody's just pulling on up, what are you guys token on? I'm checking the oxygen this evening with a little Super Boof. Super Boof, which is an interesting smoke. It's got hints of citrus, hints of like mango, and a little bit of like a sweet end on it. And the taste doesn't particularly speak to me because of that citrus undertone. I can't get over it. But the smoke is actually pretty good. It's pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, the flower for the Dude Grows Cup, the flower that took home runner-up, might have this backwards, was Super Boof. It was either runner-up or first place. He won the concentrates and the flower, and it was one of those ways. Either the flower won first or the concentrate won first, and then the other one ranked second up. So shout out to Grow Fire Farms because Mark was killing it, and I encourage you guys to go check on that episode too because we brought him into the studio to talk all things him, award-winning plants, and everything in between. So make sure you check on it, dude. Rick's Buds, man. Nothing tonight. My heart rate's been running higher and harder. Higher and 114 or higher. Well, dude, make sure you take a good look on that, man. Keep a good eye on that. Canadian Outdoor Strain. Love your name, man. Shout out to my fellow Canadian. Where are you? You're over here, aren't you? Yeah. Shout out to my fellow Canadian, man.
I enjoy the guesses about our date night.
Oh, what? Oh,
one person was like hockey. Somebody else was like poutine fest.
Poutine. Date nights usually have poutine. Cheers, dude.
No, they don't. Hockey usually has poutine.
Cheers, friends. Cheers. I think first thing I wanted to talk about, not so much nudes as it is just things going on within the podcasting space.
Oh, I have your favorite meme of the day first.
Oh, what's my favorite meme of the day? That's right. Let's check out my favorite meme of the day before I do give you my opinion on this. Check this.
Oh,
So-
it's too zoomed in. Oh no, I can't zoom it out.
There you go. You don't ever see kids riding bikes anymore, just crackheads. I wanted to share this with you because this is so unfortunately true. That you can't see the caption, but it says you don't see kids riding bikes anymore, just crackheads.
Hang on, I can move it.
Hey. See?
There you go.
Do you agree or do you agree?
I definitely agree. Well, no, because we live in a small town, so you do still see a lot of
It's a
kids.
blend.
Yeah.
It's a blend. It's crackheads and kids. Yeah.
We only have like one crackhead in town, though.
And his main mode of transportation.
Oh, definitely bike.
Is
Always, since I was a kid. Bike. Always on his bike. I don't think he's ever had a car. He delivers the said
Yep.
crack on bike.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, favorite meme of the day. However, to start things off, I was scrolling through my Instagram, and there was a post by First Smoke of the Day asking a very legitimate question, and I thought it would be fair that I give my 2 cents into the situation. So, first thing I'm going to start off is with this story here, and we're just going to let First Smoke of the Day give us an idea of just what is going on. Go ahead. So, go ahead.
Man, I have some weight on my shoulders right now, and I want to talk about it. I want to ask your opinion. I honestly been on the fence for days about this and trying to figure this out, and DMs coming in and
I'm here to
reading
help.
monologues and pages people have been sending me. And what it is we recorded a podcast weeks ago, but we have guests on all the time, and then I don't find out till after, like, details start coming out where I'm getting sent things.
I can relate to this.
And some of it's real, some of it's not. You're trying to decipher what is, what's not, who's a reliable source, who's just a hater, who's someone who has a vendetta against this person. But what you realize being in the podcast industry is, like, every single person has a vendetta with somebody, right? So every podcast I do, someone comes out of the woodwork to explain something to me in the DMs about that person, and it's rare that it's all good. It's rare. So now we're in a situation where we had a guest on, and that guest ratted, told on somebody years ago,
snitches.
and got a lighter sentence because of it. And now we're in a position where we had a great podcast with this person, and now we're about to air this podcast in a few weeks. And what do we do? Like, I'm here thinking, okay, well, we record something and we talk about it and we present it like, listen, hey, you judge this person how you want, but here's an interview with this person. But then I go, man, we don't stand for that, though. I have been to jail. Like, all of us have sacrificed for this in different ways. I mean, in some people, years of their lives. Some people, decades. Some people, a lot of people, PTSD, but on and on and on. And so I go, we don't stand for that. So am I media in this position? Where does media end?
So we can put it right
and
there.
where does personal feelings come in, where it's
That's
like,
good.
hey, I have this great interview with this person.
So you know what? I think this is a legitimate. Yeah, Will. You remember Will Sasso? Yeah. Shout out to First Smoke of the Day, man. This is to nutshell it. Essentially, they've done an interview with a guest who will remain unnamed, and it turns out this guest is a snitch, and in turn got a lighter sentence. Not only just snitched on someone, but got a lighter sentence because of it. And they're trying to determine if they've already recorded the episode. And I can actually relate to recording an episode with somebody, not knowing their past, not knowing the things that they've done, and then people holding me accountable for platforming somebody who had done something that I, A, didn't know about, but B, was pretty egregious. And so I understand this. And I personally didn't find out until after I published the episode. But the thing is that first, thank heavens they didn't post the episode yet. Okay? This is a great position to be in because they haven't posted the episode yet. 2, you cannot post the episode. You cannot post the episode. I understand the amount of money, effort, time, energy, patience, scheduling that goes into booking appointments, booking and scheduling people, slotting them in at a particular time, going through the recording, getting everything done. It takes a lot of work, and in some cases it can take a lot of money. I operate in my basement, so this is kind of a no money in operation for me. So having guests and stuff, it doesn't cost that much, but having people in person, having guests each week can become expensive. So I understand that you're kind of tied to the idea of like, shit, we got to put this out, man. We got sponsors to keep happy. We've got a community to keep happy. We've got to keep our family fed, all this stuff. The reality is at the end of the day, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but the reality is for me is I'm in this for the community. I'm in this for the plant. I'm in this for the long haul. And there's going to be times where I've got to bite my tongue or rather just pick up my shit and start over because of something. And I don't think that necessarily that's a bad thing. I think we all learn from our mistakes. We all learn as we get experience and so on and so forth. And I just feel as if you cannot post that episode. This community is kind of built on the backbone of people who have gone to prison for or sacrificed in many ways for this plant. And to think that we are going to anoint and we're going to promote snitches who took the easy way out. Look at my homie Todd McCormick. Much respect for that dude. That dude was specifically said, hey, if you rat everybody out, we'll give you a lighter sentence. And what'd he say? Fucking put me in jail. Don't waste my time. Don't think for a second I'm ratting anybody out. And what happened? He had to do the full sentence. And now he gets to wear that as a badge of honor, man. That's a badge for the community. That's a badge for him. That's the people that we should be anointing. That's the people that we should be putting on a pedestal. Those are the people, sorry, let me speak proper English. Those are the people that deserve recognition and deserve to be platformed. Not snitches, nobody calling the police on anybody, nobody doxing anybody, none of that shit, dude. That's all, whether you're wet snitching or dry snitching, you're a bitch. And as a man, you need to stand on your own 2 feet. You got to fall back on your own mistakes and own up to it. And the reality is that I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing I helped platform, because no matter what, there's people that are going to see that story and they're going to see that video or that interview and have no idea about the other shit. Because that's how the internet works. So I would hate to be responsible for putting anybody on that didn't deserve to be put on, and in particular, someone who's snitched on anybody else. So, yeah, scrap the episode, man. You got to scrap the episode. It sucks, but the reality is that now we know. Now we know. So.
It's a cost of doing business too, right?
Yep.
Some episodes you just don't use. We've had episodes that I messed up the audio or the picture was crap, so we don't post parts of it. That's just how it works. Cost of doing business. Sucks if you're out money, I guess, but again, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Burn it.
Burn it, baby. That's my opinion. And I'm curious what you guys think. I'm curious what you think in regards to, should they post it? Do you feel as if, part of me thought, if worst case scenario, if it's that wildly, I would put a disclaimer in the video. Right? So if they said, you know what, we have to post this. I can't imagine a scenario where you have to, but I understand the schedule. I would cringe. I would die inside slightly if I did not post every week on YouTube. So I get it. I get it. I understand that. So it's like devil's avocado. It's like if I had to post it, and I wouldn't, for the record, I would not post it. I ain't about it. But if I had to post it, I would put a giant disclaimer on it. You know? I would put a giant disclaimer on it. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if it'd be too much to every time their name comes up, it just says, Snitch. Maybe that's a bit much. But it's not defamatory because it can't be if it's true. So, yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. That's my opinion. But as always around here, I'm curious what the community thinks. I'm a one-man show with a very strong woman next to me. And I'm curious what the community thinks. Sorry, I forget which camera I'm on. I'm over here all the time. It's supposed to be over here. I'm curious what you guys think. Because that's really what helps keep the wheels turning over here is that I get to hear what you guys think. I get to apply it to my own opinion. And I get to ask myself, okay, is it worth keeping this opinion or should I change? Should I challenge it? So, appreciate you guys as always. Brennan, there's so many ways to still post this and go about it, like posting through a Patreon or their special page that involves subscriptions, unreleased video file. Yeah, if you wanted to, I don't know. I think there's even something more to be said about someone that's not going to platform them but keeps them behind a paywall. You know, I don't know. Personally, I just wouldn't post it, and I wouldn't feel otherwise. If I had to be Snitch, I would live with the repercussions. Okay, and the repercussions would be just that. Unfortunately, there's some people that just don't want to be associated with that. There's some people that just don't want it. You know, this is a very far-fetched, but you know, there's certain crimes that people commit where, you know, they'll find themselves on a list. And then, you know, people put up signs in their yard. So, yeah, you know, that's my opinion. You know, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
I enjoyed Todd McCormick's comment.
Oh, Todd's here?
No, on the post.
Oh, on the post. Show it if you want to read it. Go ahead. Show it. Yeah.
I always follow the rule. Stop making stupid people famous.
Mm-hmm. God, he's a smart dude.
I like that.
Yep. Except for me.
Because we make the stupidest people famous. And they make millions of dollars with no brains in their head.
No, you're right.
I.e., most of the celebrities in Hollywood.
No, you're right. It's crazy how it works. But that's the way they go. Affiliate says, 2A says, is that 2A? Or 2A? Affiliate says, do not post it. Then never mention his name. Yeah. Never happened. I got no problem mentioning no names. We don't need to know names.
No, because the second you mention the name, that's giving them publicity.
Yeah. I've done very well at doing that to people that I don't respect on this show. I've done very well at that.
I respect news outlets that do that too. Where like if they run a story about really anything, but they'll withhold a name because they don't want to give that person any kind of glorification. I appreciate that.
Yep. Me too. Mrs. P for president.
I don't know about that.
I don't want to work with them unknowing. Yes. Da-na-na. Who are they? Don't know, Reg. I met him and he seems like a good dude, but this is just a bad move and shows either some ignorance or some greed. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
But I think that's part of it too, is that if you're going to work with somebody, and that goes for all of us, if you're going to work with somebody, do your research.
Yep.
Right? Because we're not going to name it. We're not going to blast it. We're not going to make it super public and known, but it is out there. So if you're going to interview somebody or partner with somebody especially, know who you're working with.
Yeah. The thing is, it is tough, though. It is tough. Like, only so much information is available on the internet.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
You know, it is tough to, you know.
And a lot of it's not true.
I do read up on my guests quite a bit before they show up. True. And there's some information where it's just like, you don't you don't know it, or it's different, or I don't know, whatever. There's really no, I don't know. But the regardless is, pleading ignorance, didn't do let's assume we didn't do our homework. It happened. You don't post it. It's just the way it is. George M says, First Smoke of the Day is a good show. I doubt Blackleaf will post it. And you know what? I'm on the same page. I don't think he will either. And I sure hope he doesn't. And I agree. I'm a huge fan of First Smoke of the Day. I think it's a great podcast. Love what they're doing. Love what they've done. And I'd love to be able to meet up with those guys and shoot the shit someday. That'd be fantastic. But I agree, and you know what? You're presented with these kind of challenges all the time. But you got to deal with them. But that's my opinion. And as always, I'm curious what you think when it comes to whether they should post or whether they should not. And what do you think about snitches?
Snitches get stitches.
Mm-hmm.
How I
and for
grew up.
legal reasons, she didn't mean that. That's figuratively speaking.
It's just a saying.
It's just a saying. It's cinematic. It's a cinematic experience.
I meant to make them a quilt.
One thing I wanted to mention from last week, guys, was thank you guys so much for an awesome episode. We had both Todd McCormick and Brendan from In-House Genetics pull up to drop some bombs, some knowledge in regards to the conversation about rescheduling. And if you recall, Brendan was not in favor of rescheduling for very starch reasons. And Todd was very optimistic in regards to why he would consider rescheduling a plausible option. And after that conversation, something made me really think. Something made me realize that there's only two sides of this conversation. Why are we talking about either rescheduling and descheduling, and why is the only option the idea that it has to go from a 1 to a 3, and it has to go on one side, and if you go for a deschedule, it has to go to the ATF and become a federal issue. I'm curious why, or not necessarily why. I'm just curious if that's the only two options, and I would like to entertain the idea of another option. And I kind of got this idea low key as I was listening to a Spaces today over on X, and it was hosted by Mark Borden. I botched that. But they had a conversation with some folks that were exploring the idea of rescheduling and descheduling, and someone brought up the idea of cannabis being descheduled but not given to the federal level in the form of the ATF. And I thought, yes. Why does the conversation have to fall on cannabis falling into the ATF? I personally don't believe that that's the right answer. Not only do I not believe that that's the right answer, I also believe that we could do an entirely different plan. If rather than going to the ATF after a deschedule, it went to the FDA, the Food and Drug Agency, and the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture. No, there's no reason for it to fall into the ATF. It is nothing like alcohol. It's nothing like tobacco, and it's nothing like firearms. Sure, there's some similarities, but it's on an entirely separate playing field. You have a substance that is used as a commodity, is used recreationally, but more importantly, is used medicinally. So it makes me think that lumping it into the ATF, the CATF, is not a plausible option at whatsoever. it needs to be classified as something else. It needs to be classified as an agriculture. It needs, or as crop, because, well, just like hemp, it needs to fall under the FDA because, well, we can consume it in a multitude of different ways. And then with medicinal access, we have access to explore and research the myriad of possibilities of healing. It just makes me think that not only can we retain a federal level of guidance, because you're still going to have to deal with interstate, you're still going to have to deal with international sales, and states still get to retain their own autonomy in regards to regulating it themselves. I would like to see that be more of a conversation than the idea of it falling into the ATF. Because if that's what we're preparing ourselves for, it seems only inevitable that that's what we would end up obtaining. It's almost in the same way that if when you're driving, you know how you're looking one direction, and as you look left, your hands kind of veer to the left. I feel the same way that analogy applies to cannabis legalization in America. If we stare at the wrong objective, we're going to hit it. When the objective is in fact right there. That's something that I feel like we need to be talking about far more. And I respect the shit out of both Brandon and Todd, thank you for coming on, because they're both two men that I respect deeply. I respect their opinions. And I listen. I have no problem listening, because I feel like there is a great conversation to be had in regards to some movement of legalization of cannabis. So I'm curious what you think about that. What are the immediate flaws you see with that issue? I literally thought about this afternoon, because I was listening to this space. Shout out to Mark for putting it on. Shout out to everybody that was in that space. It was really cool. And I only jumped in for like the last 35 minutes. And I just love that there's a conversation being had. And I love that we can stumble upon a ton of different solutions. But I really want to follow that one, because it does not have to be rescheduling or descheduling and handing it to the feds in the form of the ATF. We know the ATF's bad. We don't need an example of that. And it cannot represent cannabis and all the other things at the same time, because it just simply doesn't fit. What do you think? What do you think? But again, I want to thank Todd and I want to thank Brandon for coming on. I want to have more conversations like that in regards to two polar opposite or two competing or ideas, and have them come and sit down and have a conversation. I'm really excited about that kind of stuff, because I want this to be a platform. I want this to be a place where people can do just that. We can have a conversation on a myriad of topics, and we are probably going to disagree, and I think that's okay. So
I want to have Todd on every week, because I could listen to him for hours.
yeah, me too.
He has lived such a life, and he knows so much. And he's just listening to, it's like reading a book or watching a movie listening to him. It's just amazing. I get lost sometimes during interviews, just so you guys know, where I just sit here and forget that I'm doing a job.
Me too. Me too.
If you notice the screen doesn't change sometimes, or there's no pop-ups, it's because I'm lost in the conversation.
Speaking of conversation too, I want to remind you that we have Javier Hasse from High Times Magazine, the editor-in-chief, joining us for conversation in about 20 minutes. And I'm stoked for this. The editor-in-chief of the High Times Magazine sitting down to have a conversation. So stay tuned for that. That's about 20 minutes. But before I do dive into that, we got more I wanted to talk about. Looks like we've got big nudes in Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, Texas. The reason I got to know about this the first time is because of my good friend Chapo. My good friend El Chapo, my gaming partner, my squad mate, my hero. He brought this to my attention, and I wanted to share this with you because movement in Texas towards legalization is a conversation that I love to have. Talk about one of the most conservative, and I don't mean politically, but I mean like culturally, and I mean that with all due respect, please. To see movement of cannabis in Texas is kind of one of those things that you just never really thought you'd see in your lifetime, but here it is. So here's the story. This is out of Normal.
Let me just adjust.
Please, if you don't mind. Texas medical cannabis expansion bill takes effect. This is from Normal. Legislation took effect Monday, expanding patients' access to state qualified medicinal products. Under the law, Under the law, patients diagnosed with chronic pain, Crohn's disease, traumatic brain injury, and other newly eligible conditions may enroll in the Texas Compassionate Use Program and obtain state licensed medicinal products. The new law also expands the pool of products available for patients, including vapes, and it increases the total number of licensed dispensaries that can operate in the state from 3 to a total of 15. Is that how you spell 15? Anyways, according to the data provided by the Texas Department of Safety, over 616,000 patients participated in the Compassionate Use Program. Additional information about Texas Medicinal Access Program is available from Normal. Make sure you go check them out. Normal is a long-standing advocate for cannabis in our space and has a rife history of advocacy for our plant and community. So that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. Again, I was looking in the wrong spot. To see that happening is great. To see the expansion of 116,000 patients. Hey, Siri, what is the population of Texas? 31 million. Okay. Hey, Siri, what percentage is 116,000 in 32 million? That's 0.36%. I think that's pretty impressive, to be honest with you. In a place where generally it's frowned upon in a government setting towards cannabis. So, hey, shout out to Texas, man. If you're in Texas, I want to hear from you. Is this something great, or are you fighting for more? Some things are great achievements, in my opinion. Some things are great milestones worth championing, and this would be one of them. Of course, the fight never ends. So I'm curious to hear what you think about the expansion and what would you do differently. Nate, good to see you, dude. Elvan Jiggle, good to see you. I need some trim gel in a bad way. Oh, you need to go to jail, boy? Sean, good to see you, friend. CLTV, Texas. Don't tell us what to do unless you're the state government and have financial incentive to do so. Yeah, it's kind of how it is. It's kind of weird that way, hey? It's kind of weird that way. We got another one too. What was the other one? What was that? Hit me with this one. Hit me with this one. Oh, that's right. I'm glad we got notes here. The MORE Act is back. If you guys didn't know, this act has been in the American Congress for, I think this is its fourth rendition. It's the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment. I think reinvestment and expungement. Reinvestment. There it is. Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, and essentially this does exactly that. It's supposed to do to just make it easier for people who have convictions for cannabis-related offenses. Oh, Jesus. Stumbling here. Easier for them to get expungements, and it's looking for a layout in regards to taxes as well. If you go down, I believe it gives a layout as to just kind of what the plan is. A little bit more down. There it is. So what does it propose this time? The bill looks not only forward but also back. So you want to enhance expungement federal marijuana related convictions, allow resentencing for those still under supervision, guarantee rights. No one would lose public benefits or immigration status based of or because of a cannabis record. So as I said, this is I believe the fourth rendition to go through Congress. So it is a reasonable bill that, you know, would provide a lot of relief and you know, I think due regulation towards cannabis. However, it just tends to get stifled in the Senate each and every time, and that's the reality in our systems. Is that that's how having these legislative bodies work. And unfortunately, if a party has a majority, they can stall pretty much anything, and that seems to be the case here. So we wish this one speed, we wish this one luck, but you know, I don't have a lot of hope on this one. I really don't, but we'll see. We'll see. What do you guys think? Are you happy to see this? I'm more so happy to see the names of the people on there. There's the Nadler guy. I'm not a fan of any politician. Let me be very clear. Zero politician. I'm not a fan of zero politician. There isn't a politician out there on a federal level. You know, there are some politicians on a much lower level that do still have the interests of the people in mind. I believe that. I believe that because they haven't been influenced by money or outside influences yet. Unfortunately, with politics, the higher up you get, the influence becomes so great. But so I do believe there are good political actors. I do. However, they're low and nobody's ever heard of them. Second, my point is that there's this Nadler guy. I've seen him as a proponent. A proponent is as an advocate for cannabis for years. And that's pretty sweet. I'm glad to see on a federal level we are still seeing some consistent push for cannabis. Now, is cannabis paying him in any form or fashion? I fucking hope so. Okay, because that's how it works. And you're like, what? Are you kidding, pigeons? You want people to get paid to put... Stop. In the system that we work in, that we live in, the political system that we have, money gets what you need, what you want. It has influence. It has power. Big tobacco, big firearms, big automobile, big pharmacy, big, you name it, guys, big. They don't want to see cannabis legalized because it would take out of their pockets. It would lead to this new thing that would suck a bunch of money out of their pockets and into the cannabis industry. Because of that, cannabis doesn't stand a chance until it, as a community, as an existence, as an industry, has the ability to put that influence back, push back. And can we push back with picket signs? And can we push back with you know, women with their tops off screaming, free the plant? You know, no, I highly encourage it, but it doesn't get what kind of influence we need. Unfortunately, fight, always fight, protest in every way, particularly topless women. I'm a fan of this.
Respectful protest.
Respectful protests. The reality is that I like to see this happen. I see Nadler there. I like to see legalization happen. I see Nadler there pushing for it. Don't know the guy from a hole in the wall. That's cool. That's cool. But I went on a little rant there, and that's my opinions. That's my opinions. And I want it to be very clear that I am a fan of politics. I'm a fan of talking politics. I'm a fan of, because that's what cannabis is. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's certainly not cannabis's fault, because it didn't choose to be political. It is a plant that grows naturally. Okay. And it did not choose this, but however, man has made it political. So we need to kind of understand and kind of take politics in as part of the conversation. And I understand that a lot of people are trying to tune politics out, and I get it. Believe me, I get it. I understand that it can be draining, and it's mudslinging, and it's disgusting. Politics is horrible, you know. Correction. Politics is actually great. Government ruins politics. Governments ruin countries. Politics is actually really cool. The concept of trying to control masses of people is actually kind of fascinating. And to think that we've actually come to the ideas of like democracy and all this stuff is actually kind of fascinating. That we do have systems that in theory work relatively well, but then there's practicality and real life. And that's just what happens. The corruption is a result.
Have you ever told them that you have a degree in political sciences?
No, it might scare some people. No, of course I have. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, it's just listening to you, it's like, I can tell, but I also know. So.
You think I got these big glasses for nothing?
Oh, no, I know you didn't.
I am going to have to change them now. I'm kind of getting a little headache.
Are you? Yeah. First day's always rough, especially when they're a new prescription.
It's... Ugh.
I was going to say, that might not help, though, either. So
just switching back and forth? No,
see how it goes.
No, this isn't too bad. At least I can see. Yes, yeah. I did go to school for a little while, which is a miracle, but I'm very thankful for that.
A little while.
For that.
A few years.
Yeah, P Money 603. Good to see you, man. I think they need to figure out something to counteract the dry mouth. Yeah, beer. Yeah, I need another drink.
I can do that.
Actually, that's what I really need. Yeah, I've got it. Jiggle wiggle. Okay. Yep. Mad love, P. I appreciate you, Kurt. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all for being in part of the conversation, man. Alcohol's okay, but you better not toke. Oh, yeah, when you're talking about politics. Yeah. Shout out to P from Kelowna, BC. What's up, Andrew Hubert? Good to see you, man. Richard Morris is here, too. Pilo Ticks. That's nasty. Ticks, what were we referring to? Oh, or is Pilo Ticks a person? Hey, who knows? Legalize the plants already. High Plains Bud, it's great to see you, man. I saw Blazing Arizona in there too. Great to see you guys. Real quick too, at the end of the show, we might have a little giveaway.
Oh shit! Yeah, I gotta set that up.
Oh, see, it's even news to us, friends. We got a little something. I'm gonna reward those. You guys have been here for a long time, and I want to mention. I'm only gonna mention this one. This is the only time I'm gonna mention this. Okay, guys, this is the only time I'm gonna mention this. Maybe I'll mention it after the show one time, at the end one time. But we're going to do a giveaway, guys. We're going to do a giveaway tonight, okay? For anyone who's still in the chat at the end of the show, you have an opportunity to win some Seedsman genetics. Okay. We got some packs to give away, okay? Packs of your choice, friends, okay? Packs of your... Well, I keep looking at the wrong damn camera. I'm sorry.
I switched up.
I need a light. I'm like looking over here. Like, oh, well, yeah, I'm trying to get intimate here, and they're, oh, you're over here. My bad. Yeah, we got a giveaway, friends. We got a giveaway, and we're gonna do that at the end of the show. We're gonna do that after we have a conversation with. That's way better. After we have a conversation with Mr. Javier Hasse from High Times Magazine. He's the editor-in-chief, and let's just say, man, he's got some big shoes to fill because the High Times Magazine is going through a little bit of a change right now, and I'm very excited to kind of see, what we can unhash in regards to the magazine, him, and kind of the impact. I think High Times has got some big shoes, and I think they can do it. And I think he can do and be a part of it too. So yeah, on a roll. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, dude. Cult of Aider. Good to see you. Yum. Double A. This is gonna be good. David Wallman. Purple Ghost Candy was fire. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Sean. Yavi the man. Yavi the man. Yeah. How do we win? What Mrs. P's doing? She's putting together. She's gonna put together a link. And
I have said link.
You have it ready?
I have it ready.
Oh, okay. Throw it down anytime. All you got to do is hit it in there. All you got to do is hit the link. Okay. And there's going to be some steps. What do you got to do, Mrs. P?
You have to follow at Pigeons420 on Twitter, and you have to follow at Seedsman Seeds on Twitter. You get one entry for each of those, and then we'll draw at the end of the show.
Boom. Boom. That's all you've got to do, baby.
And yes, I know that not everybody has Twitter. Unfortunately, it only allows us to do Twitter.
Because I'm not paying.
And they're actually getting rid of the program that we use October
So I got to find
1st.
another way.
So I got to find a different way to do it.
Because we use a free software to
I could just put everybody's name in a hat that's in the chat.
that is a lot of writing. That is a lot of writing. There's not a chance.
No, I'll find a different website. Hopefully it's got more options because like I said, I know not everybody has Twitter or X.
I'm sure there's I know there's a bot. There's a night bot we could do that we could use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do some research and find one.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do that. I'm excited about that. But
Nightbot is the move for giveaways. Okay. Thank you.
and I can do I've got said bot.
I knew you would have a suggestion, Rob.
Yeah, he knows.
I should just ask you when I have questions.
We do.
I know.
I do sometimes. This is where I see him the most. See him here the most. That's not true. It's a bold-faced lie. Guys, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very excited to have a conversation with Javi. So let's just break her down. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it civil. Let's have fun. Let's break it down. But let's chat with Javier. Let's do it.
Come on and lift your glass. You've won your own free pass to be our guest. If you're stressed, it's fine dining we suggest. Be our guest, be our guest, be our guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting here with the editor-in-chief for the High Times magazine, Javier. Javier, thanks for meeting with me, man. How are you?
Thank you. Doing great, and happy to join and still taking in the surreal, the surreal title of editor in chief. It's crazy. Never would have thought I'd be here, but I guess I don't know. Hard work pays off.
Yeah, you're darn right it does. You're darn right it does. It's not like you are new to the scene or new to journaling or reporting. You've been doing this for some time. So if you wouldn't mind, Javier, real quick, who are you and how did you get here?
Well, I'm Javier. I'm from Argentina, which is where I'm now, and where I grew up and went to school and everything. And I got out of college. We call it university here, but for the interest of conversation, let's call it college. And got a job writing for U.S. media outlets. And within like a year, I got my first assignment to write about what at the time were called marijuana stocks, like the stock market. And it started to build into a career, right? And I started getting emails and people offering info and exclusive data and exclusive news stories, and it snowballed into what would turn into a very successful career. I didn't consider myself to be the best journalist in the world, but I found a niche that I was passionate about. I could not believe it. The first time someone told me, "Hey, do you want to write about marijuana stocks?" Because none of our reputable writers want to sign this article. I was like, are you kidding me that you will pay me to write about weed? Like, I love weed. This is perfect. And it happened pretty quickly. Within 3-4 years, I had my first book deal with a major publisher. Many outlets that didn't want to publish my stories before I was writing about cannabis were suddenly reaching out saying, "Hey, do you want to write a story about this or that about cannabis?" And I was suddenly getting my stuff published on Playboy and Yahoo and Entrepreneur Media, and then got a senior contributor spot at Forbes, and I also started writing for High Times many years ago. Some of my first articles were with my partner Nati, who is sitting back here as well. We started a column called Badass Boss Ladies back in like 2017. But it's been more than a decade, writing about cannabis, and it's been an interesting ride, right? Sometimes um it's very satisfying. Sometimes it's conflictive. So, it's an issue that touches on so many different topics, complex. Sometimes cannabis is fun and it's all about happiness, but many times it's about people in prison, about people's health, about the right to be healthy and not die from conditions that can be somehow treated, right? So, there's so many different angles and facets of this that it's a very interesting job. I spent 10 years, more than 10 years working with a company out of Detroit, built their media business around like their cannabis media and events business. Started my own company as well in 2020 with Nati down here in Latin America called El Planteo, which is, cannabis and psychedelics, news content and just general coverage, but in Spanish. And then the High Times opportunity arose, and Josh, who acquired the company from receivership, one day said like, "Hey, I know you're busy, but come join us." And I was like, "If you think I'm the right person." Right. I didn't want it to feel like it was nepotism or anything like that. It's like, if you think I'm the right person, I'll gladly do it. I think like it, and it's the most fun job I've had in my life, for sure.
That's fantastic, dude. I'm really happy for you, man. I'm very excited for you. I'm very excited for High Times. I think this is a great opportunity for yourself and for High Times to have this kind of coming of times moment. High Times has been through a lot, the longest running publication in our space in the world. And it's unfortunate that, it kind of went to, corporate interests. It didn't favor the community. And you know what? I am a huge advocate to see that change and to watch this magazine come back. So I'm very excited for you. I'm very excited. How did you first get in touch with High Times?
Sorry, you
Sir,
broke up there.
how did you first come in touch with High Times?
Like in my life or
Yeah,
this
yeah,
last round?
yeah. Like in your life, how did like you fan of the
Yeah,
magazines?
yeah, 100%. I'll get back to that in a second, but
Please.
like I wanted to touch on something that you said about like the corporate interests, and something that resonated with me and really wanted to made me want to join this project is that Josh's vision is, this doesn't have to be profitable. It just needs to be break even, right? And our whole ethos is around like putting good out into the world and making people happy and making people have fun or making people think, right? And publishing content that transforms you, right? And that expands your mind. And that is very nice, and it's very refreshing to see that in media, right? Whereas like there's a publisher who says like, just do a good job, try and do something good for the world, and we don't need to make a lot of money out of this at all. So it's a lovely mandate. I think it's very pure. And how I came in touch with High Times, at first living in Argentina, it's not like we got the latest issues, but they started showing up like maybe a year later, after they were originally published, and you would see them here and there. Of course, the internet helps a lot, with getting in touch with a lot of the High Times content, but it was something that I was definitely aware since I was a teenager. I remember around the age of 14, I became obsessed with hemp. I love weed. That is a separate thing. I don't recommend underage consumption, so let's give that one. But the I became obsessed with hemp, right? And when you're a teenager, you know you become very obsessed when you find something that like shows the system is broken, right? I went into this rabbit hole of why hemp had been banned. And did you know, I was telling my friends, did you know that you can make plastics and fuels and food and oil and construction materials and fabric and like it's so, and my whole argument at the time was like, hey, hemp was banned to serve corporate interests, right? It's such a powerful plant that it jeopardized the position of so many established mainstream industries that it had to be banned. And it's not psychotropic. It will not get you high. There's no reason for it to be illegal, but it still is, right? And we choose to kill our environment and kill our planet instead of, going the hemp route, which seems like a no-brainer. And so, getting into all that and looking into forums, the name High Times kept showing up, right? It was a countercultural icon, right? And even today, when I tell my friends who are not in the cannabis space necessarily and are not familiar with High Times, I tell them, we've been publishing magazines since 1974. And they were like, oh, for real? It's like, yeah, it's like the Playboy of weed. And then I start telling them, yeah, there were texts. There were interviews with Hunter S. Thompson and text, articles written by William Burroughs and Charles Bukowski. And like there's an article that Blondie wrote titled "I Wish I Had Invented Sex," right? And there's an article by Truman Capote and Andy Warhol. And there's a lost interview with Bob Marley and an interview with someone who claimed to be JFK's dealer. And it was like it's mind-blowing. And so like that's the way I describe it to friends who don't know. So it's been a part of I think every stoner's life for a very long time. And even many people who don't necessarily consume cannabis but embrace a counterculture and were looking for a magazine where people could speak as freely, right? I'm going through the archives of old content, and it's edgy. It's like there's insane articles. And I'm like, oh wow, I can't believe they printed this back in the 70s, back in the 80s. Because nowadays we enjoy a level of freedom and kind of, let's call it legal security that wasn't readily available back then. And there's still a lot to do, right, in terms of legalization, decriminalization of cannabis. But like people ask me, like, aren't you afraid, or what are the risks? And it's like, well, writing about cannabis is no longer as dangerous as it used to be, right? It's legal in many jurisdictions, many states in the US, many countries around the world. There's a lot of discourse that is protected by the First Amendment. So, it's when I see the old content, I'm like, the balls, the ovaries on these people writing this, right? You knew that something like this could land you in jail, and people were often like, called to testify in court or whatever, uh, so it's I don't know, it definitely meandered here, but
It was a great answer, man. Quite frankly, you're absolutely right. High Times held a standard or had a level of expectation that it would hold against its government and hold for the community that showcased that. And edgy was exactly what it came off as, is because, as you said, it was a much different state of mind, much different legal state for cannabis back then. And just simply writing about it, having an article about you, could get the attention of the DEA, or the government could be knocking at your door. So yeah, there was a level of threat then that you simply don't see now.
Last night we were watching some stand-up clips from Tommy Chong, right? And he was telling the story of the time he got busted, right? And he says that the DEA followed him for a year and they had his phones tapped and this and that. And they ultimately, this is a very well-known story, they ultimately detained him and sent him to prison for paraphernalia. Not because of weed, but because he made bongs, which is insanity.
It is insanity. And actually, in fact, I've read about that story, and the government went over and above what some would argue legal rights, and maybe infringed upon Tommy's legal rights by infiltrating, and they just essentially suckered him into that. And
Mhm.
in my opinion, it wasn't any of his wrongdoing. It was just the government needed something to sink its teeth into, and Tommy was on that radar. So yeah, incredible story, and that's the kind of life that you had to worry about back then. That you just well, not everyone still got to worry about it today in some sense because we still don't have full legalization across the globe.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? I think about that, and like in Argentina, there's a very good medical program, in my opinion. Of course, there's a lot that needs to be improved still, but the way it was legalized down here, it was patients first. So the first thing they legalized and regulated was home growing.
Smart.
After that, it was a caregiver model, and then a nonprofit model. They issued some commercial licenses, but never regulated it. So like you cannot technically you cannot buy weed here. You can grow your own and someone can grow it for you. But it was built for patients and not for profit. And that to me is wonderful. Of course, industry participants and people who invested in the industry go like, well, it's not fair because I spent these many millions. I warned them. I warned them. I told them like, hey, this will take many years. They would learn something from Colombia, Canada, the US, whatever. It takes a long time. So if you're willing to take the risk, perfect. But you should know that you need to have deep pockets to weather this adjustment era, which will take many years. But like for me, a patient first model is lovely. And why I bring it up is because it's crazy to think, Tommy Chong going to prison for a bong, and now I can show up at an airport in Argentina and travel domestically with up to 40 grams of weed or like seven vials of oil. And it's incredible because I will show up at the airport, I will go to the TSA equivalent and say, "Hi, officer, I have my medical cannabis on me," and they will say, "Okay, let me see your card." It's like a digital card in a government app. They will scan your QR. You go like, "Is it under 40 grams?" Yes. Usually it doesn't look like 40 grams. They will just look at it, often smell it. Several times I've gotten that response from like the TSA officers, like the airport police. They would say like, "Oh, nice." I like well, one time last year I was coming back from vacation and I had some left over and it was very stinky, like you know, skunky weed. And the policeman opens the container and I go like, "Sorry about the smell," and he looks at me and he goes, "Sorry about what? I like it as much as you do." And I'm like, "What?" Like, this is a real
Crazy time.
interaction that I'm having with a police officer. Or like last year I was going from Chicago to Detroit, and I went to a policeman at a train station and asked him like what the protocol was. Can I take it? Should I leave it? If I leave it, where do I leave it? I want to dispose of it properly and safely. So because if I throw it in the trash, it's like what if a kid finds it? And the police officer looked at me like, "Hey, this is federal land, and it's like, no, don't worry, I don't have it on me." But he was like, "Yeah, I'll pretend I didn't hear you, but yeah, you shouldn't tell me." But he wasn't like hostile, which was usually my experience with law enforcement was very hostile. And suddenly the guy was like, "Yeah, let me give you some advice on how to properly manage cannabis," right?
That's an incredible conversation to have.
Oh, yeah. It was quite a longer conversation for sure, but like I don't want to incriminate myself.
No,
But what I'm gonna say is, the guy appreciated that I was trying to be mindful and compliant. He's like, "Well, it's legal here. Yeah, you shouldn't throw it in the trash. I appreciate you thinking of that. You should know that both train stations and train tracks are federal land. As such, cannabis is not legal, even though it's legal in the state of Illinois, even though it's legal in the state of Michigan." Right? But like he gave me a full explanation, and then I told my friends, and no one could even believe that I approached a cop to ask him. It's like, who the fuck am I gonna ask? What am I gonna ask? GPT? Like,
yeah, it's
like,
gonna give you the wrong answer anyway. So yeah.
yeah, I don't think that would stand in court. But if like for any reason I got in trouble, I could always be like, "Hey, I asked a police officer."
Smart, dude. It's smart. I'm curious. I'm curious. You've got a hell of a position, dude. You got big shoes to fill, being as the editor in chief in High Times. I'm curious. What does cannabis mean to you?
A difficult question. And I think it relates to something I was saying earlier, right? It touches on so many different important issues, right? It touches on people's health and right to access healthcare freely. It touches on criminal justice, on racial disparities, on gender equality, right? We're building an industry from scratch. Can we make it equitable for all ethnicities and all genders? It touches on wellness and well-being, right? A lot of people now love this thing, like, oh, wellness. It's like, yeah, it's cool, but can I use cannabis just for well-being? Isn't well-being part of wellness? Isn't the fact that I'm happy every night when I smoke weed and relaxed after a stressful day, um, good for my health, right? And so it's like what it means to me. It's like it's so many different things, right? It's a friend, it's an ally, it's a therapeutic tool, it's a medicinal tool at times. At times, it's a tool to have fun. It's a political cause, right? It's a cause that to me it appeals in a more of an activism, position. Um, and it's also an economic driver. And that is also interesting, right? Because if you ask me, like the promise of legalization was never to make you rich. I never went to a demonstration and saw a banner saying, "Hey, make me rich, I grow weed." Like everyone's like, free the prisoners, free the plant, get people their medicine, so but it is an interesting angle because policymakers are ultimately the people who decide whether this is legal or not and how it is regulated. And in most of the world, money talks. Yeah, like in most of the countries where we saw some kind of medical cannabis program, which is like I think over 100 countries, it was often tied to healthcare, like mothers advocating for their children, for multiple sclerosis or for epilepsy, but those frameworks are limited, and ultimately, I think what will convince lawmakers is money. And politics always, like, everything is money. Like there is a lot of there are a lot of studies about it, and politics are transactional, right? And that means whether, if the system works well, it's like over the table, but sometimes also under the table. But like even above, above board, it's still an exchange dictated by money or interest. Yeah, how do you get a representative or a senator to vote for a law? And it's usually not out of ideology or even party lines. It's like, what does my state get out of this? Oh, okay, we're going to legalize cannabis, but is there an incentive for growing peaches in Georgia, right? Because otherwise, like, what does my people, what do my constituents get out of this, right? So, I think the economic argument is important in that sense, right? It's not my priority, but I do understand that that is what often tilts the scale for decision makers in the political world. Of course, also like, public pressure or whatever, we could argue that, but then again, like what, 90% of America thinks cannabis should be legal in some way, shape, or form. They're like the most credible surveys by Pew Research, and we did still, like, there's no discussion in Congress. Like I have not seen any stories about like a federal medical cannabis bill being discussed in Congress. And I'm not even talking adult use, right? Something as basic as like, hey, kids with epilepsy should be able to access this, right? Like grandmas should not have to be medical refugees in Colorado to access medicine, right? But it doesn't seem to matter as much to policymakers, right? It's like, oh, here's the evidence, here's the science, here are the polls, here's what your constituent thinks. Oh, I'm a Republican. Oh, Republicans support it too. They don't care. I don't know why, but they don't seem to care. Now, like what has been discussed in Congress for like 7 times already is like safe banking. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, it seems to be it's a no-brainer issue. You've got upwards of 90% of Americans that are in favor of some form of regulation, and even amongst Republicans, conservatives, you have, I believe that number is over 75%. So it's like it seems like a no-brainer issue to take this on and to pass it and to see some kind of movement on a medical at the very least. But you know, you're right. You don't see anything like that.
Nada.
Not. You were mentioning that you came into High Times at about 14. When did you start using? When did cannabis speak to you? When did it? How old were you?
Around the same age, yeah. And again, it's like full disclosure. Wait till your brain is fully developed. Looked into the research. You know, underage consumption is not recommended, but my story is my story. Um, um, uh, I was in high school, and friend of mine had an older brother, and we were at a quinceañera, right? We call it fiesta de quince here, but it's like a quinceañera party, and we snuck
It's a
into the
what?
bathroom. And
Sorry.
we had this,
A what party?
you know, like quinceañera, like
No, I'm a
so,
small
like
town.
in Latin America. So I call it quinceañera because they use it a lot in American TV, and they often, you know, connect it to Mexican culture, but it's like in all of Latin America, when women turn 15 years old, they throw a massive party
Oh,
similar to a wedding or a bar mitzvah,
yeah.
right?
Okay, I know it is something else, but yes. Okay. What?
And
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
they throw these big parties, right? Like you put a suit on and they wear
It's a coming of
lace
age.
dress. Exactly.
Okay, but I am
It-
familiar with
It's
this.
a party. Like
Gotcha.
it's an actual like, you know, formal party. And so you're wearing suits, but you're kids, right? So they don't serve alcohol or anything. And then so a friend showed up with a toothpick of a joint. We snuck into the bathroom, took like 2 hits each. One of my friends described it as as a fruit punch, like the flavor. I don't even know if it was brickweed. I mean, the, you know, flour wasn't available in Argentina when I was a teenager. At least not easily available. So you would buy brickweed, 25 grams at a time, minimum. It came in a brick, came from Paraguay most of the time, and it was like the whole plant just pressed together. It would still get you high. But yeah, that was the first experience. I don't think I got high that time. And then, you know, it was here and there, scars. Like it wasn't like something that we would do every weekend. But then, of course, you know, turned 18, became a part of my life. Um, and now it's been a daily thing for many, many years now. Also, you know, started growing it in my balcony, shitty plants at first, you know, uh, we were recently remembering this one time when I lived in a house with two other friends, and we had a very big like terrace rooftop, and it had a bunch of plants, maybe like 7, 8. And we went with Nati. We went to, I think it was Berlin or something, for like a month. And I told my roommate, I just cut these buds. It'll be for the entire house, and they're drying in this room. So all you have to do is keep the door closed, ideally, like don't turn the light on and don't do anything. Just leave them there. They will be dry when I come back. Don't touch them. And I don't know what he wanted to do, but I hope he wanted to develop film in that room. So he made the decision to grab all of my harvest and put it in buckets inside a what do you call it, like a cabinet or something. And when we came back, it was completely moldy. And I'm talking maybe 7, 8 plants. Natty actually suggested I should write like a first person article. How do you get over a friend ruining your entire crop? Like, how does a friendship survive that?
It happens a lot. It happens a lot. That would probably be a good piece.
Yeah, I honestly hope it doesn't. It was
it
hard
totally
to
does.
work on.
Yeah, I believe it, dude. It totally does, man. Having people watch your garden is like, it has to, unless you plan on staying at your home forever and always, Yeah, having someone come watch your garden and inevitably kind of screwing it up, I feel like is part of the process that we all have to go through.
Right? Like it wasn't even that they had to watch the garden. It was already cut.
Don't fucking
Like
touch
it was
it.
cut and manicured. Yeah. The only directive was don't touch it.
And couldn't do it, and they couldn't do it. I'm curious. I'm
You
curious.
had to develop film.
You had to, yeah, had priorities, my guy. I'm curious. How do you use cannabis today? Because I know you're a creative. You have to be in your line of work, and I'm curious. Do you use it early in the day? Do you prefer at night before you work? What does your use look like, if you don't mind me asking?
No, not at all. Mostly at night. For many years it was very, very useful for work and other stuff. Nowadays it's not as much. I really just enjoy it mostly to relax. Um, of course, like during weekends or on vacation, it's different. But I realize that in this stage in my life, I enjoy it as a way to completely unwind and disconnect. And it's interesting that I've also like in the last couple of years, maybe year and a half, I realized I'm not a huge fan of high THC either, right? So now that what I smoke is usually a 1-to-1, like 1-to-1 THC CBD and about 14-16% THC. Um, I will enjoy like a 40% strain when like, for fun here and there, right? Like I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago and it's like, yeah, let's get high as fuck. But many other times it just gets me a little bit paranoid or whatever, and I found my strains. And it's great too, honestly, like part of not having this dispensary model and massive grow operations down here means that all the weed that I smoke is either grown by myself or someone I know, right? I was chatting with someone yesterday, and I showed them the baggies, and it's like they still come in Ziploc bags, right? It's not like this is how you get weed, right? Like it's an actual Ziploc bag.
Oh, let's go. 2005
No,
all over again. I love
yeah.
that.
The best you'll have for branding is like, someone will do like a bigger Ziploc in which the smaller Ziplocs come in. Sorry, I lost my. There you go.
I uh
But
I think
and
honestly,
it's good, bud.
I got nothing wrong with that. I have nothing wrong with that at all. I think the branding on bags have gone a little insane anyways, particularly those that are using like other people's logos and stuff. The trademark
Mhm.
infringement is absurd. So
Oh yeah.
I got no problem with the plastic bag, dude.
No, and it's also like the other branding is a whole separate discussion of appealing to kids and whatnot. But like, this isn't even about the bagging itself, right? Because it comes in a bag. I move it to a jar, right, so that it stays fresh. But my point here is, uh, locally grown weed by someone who's a passionate grower and is growing maybe under 20 lights or whatever. You get an actual bud. I've never been to a freaking dispensary and gotten like decent buds. Yeah, they will send me press samples. They're great. They send me the colas, whatever. But then you go to a dispensary, it's like it's tiny little buds. Like here we get actual buds, and it's pretty good, honestly.
I don't think craft cannabis, the small grow, is ever going to go away. Now they could kind of tie into the rescheduling, and there's a lot of people that believe that rescheduling from a 1 to a 3 would do just that. It would give access to pharmaceutical companies. Pharmaceutical companies will standardize the medicine. Say goodbye to your GMOs that are 13, 14-week flowers. Say goodbye to your Maui Wowies. Say goodbye to your skunks because they stink too much and they don't appease to the most amount of people. A lot of people think that a rescheduling to a Schedule 3 would do that. Would kill mom and pop shops, and then we just have standardized pharmaceutical medication. What do you think? What's your take on that?
I think it's a nuanced topic for sure. I do think that rescheduling likely opens the doors to pharmaceutical cannabis. That is not necessarily a bad thing, but also it does not automatically kill mom and pop or small growers because state legal programs are still in place, right? not like it instantly changes that. Um, there are Schedule 3 substances like ketamine that can be sold through pharmacies with a prescription or be sold or administered off-label, without a pharmacy, right? So it's always more complex than it seems. And, to take it even further, I like to think of this question: what does actual like full legalization look like? I think I would love to see full legalization, but I'm also not one for small government. So I do think that the government should also put some protections in place to protect small farmers.
You are,
Otherwise,
sorry, I missed that.
go.
You are
Yeah,
in favor of
yeah.
small government? Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not in
not.
favor
Okay. Okay.
of
I want
like
to make
such
sure.
small government because like what happens if we go fully legal? Like in America, like it's a capitalistic country. Won't huge corporations take over the industry, cultivate at scale at very low prices, and sell through like the Walmarts or whatever? Do we not import from, countries with lower production costs? Yeah, there's still a space for craft cannabis, but I don't think that legalization protects small farmers necessarily, unless there's certain kind of guardrail, right? So there's always like a lot of unintended consequences to every policy move, and a lot that we cannot predict, right? So like, yeah, Schedule 3 might open the doors to pharmaceuticals, but I don't see it necessarily killing the state legal programs. It does remove 280E, which is, a heavy tax burden for smaller operators. In reality, most MSOs are finding very creative ways to not pay 280E taxes. It benefits smaller producers more. But there are arguments on all sides, right? In the last couple of days, I've been speaking to some small producers, and some of them argue we're better off under Schedule 1 than Schedule 3. Now, some of the arguments are a little bit simplistic in that sense, right? That it does not mean it's a pharmacy only model. There's like a prescription track and reimbursement, but state dispensaries continue. It doesn't harshen penalties like many say, right? Like Schedule 1 is like under the eyes of the law. Like Schedule 1 is worse than Schedule 3, right? And so like a lot of the arguments that I see coming up are valid. They're valid concerns. They are fair concerns, but they lack the nuance. And I don't pretend to be a policy expert, but I try to understand the complexities of this, right? And it's not a black and white situation, unfortunately. No, I wish we had more clarity. But yeah, I think it's definitely a complex issue. But willing to get into this debate for sure.
Yeah. I know.
I would love to hear your thoughts.
I personally, I'm not in favor of large government. I prefer small government. I feel like the government does not know how to grow weed. It doesn't know how to smoke weed, doesn't really know anything about weed, and shouldn't have anything to do with it. I feel like it should be up to the states to make that decision, how they want to regulate and so on, and push and who has access and who doesn't have access. To me, a shifting or a reschedule, it does open up the door for pharmaceutical companies, which I agree with you is not totally bad, because there's plenty of examples of medications that are far more accessible now because of the pharmaceutical industry. My fear is that the price will be uncontrollable at that point. There's plenty of examples of pharmaceutical companies that have taken the price of a pill that is like $1 or less and charge hundreds of dollars for it. And although state systems exist that have small craft farms working, I'm afraid that pharmaceutical companies will wipe them out purely on the fact that they have access to much larger markets. They have much more resources at disposal. They can grow endlessly. So I'm afraid of a reschedule, because the devil is better than the devil you don't. And when the argument is that Schedule 1 is better than Schedule 3, I don't totally disagree, only because we know what we have right now. We already have a system that's working in that system. And if we change it, it could mean change that's irreversible and damaging. So I see a system that has no government, almost no federal government regulation at all. And it's left to the states and the people to regulate in the same way that many fruits and vegetables are regulated. Of course, they're regulated and in some cases subsidized, but they're left to the free market. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now let me play devil's advocate.
Please.
Because like my view sometimes is like, where has the completely free market taken us, right? Like you talked about pharmaceutical price gouging, and that is very uniquely American. In the rest of the world, governments tell pharmaceuticals how much they can mark up a medicine, right? Only like there are very few countries where you will have to pay, like you will see 100% price surge on medications overnight just because, right? Or the Martin Shkreli cases, right? And same for small farmers. It's like, okay, so how do we protect them, right? If it's completely unregulated or there's no intervention whatsoever or no incentives for small farmers, how do these thrive beyond like very small pockets of like high quality? Because yeah, like there's still like craft brewers, and Budweiser doesn't own every craft brewery out there. Most of the beer is Bud Light or Modelo or whatever, right? So it's always a dilemma, right? And I think it's also a dilemma in that sense, right? When you're talking about like, okay, should the government be small? And many people will agree, but then it's like, okay, but where does the government come in terms of like, is the government's role to protect the people? And if so, like, what's the line? It's always a very fine line, right? Do we open it up and let whatever happen will happen? You know, it's like, okay, then we legalize, and what happens is, you know, a corporate takeover. But if the government wants to protect small farmers, then there is government intervention, right? And it's always this complicated dilemma, I think, and dichotomy of, if we let the market regulate itself, we know what self-regulation looks like in in a capitalistic country.
Some of the, valid point. Some of the biggest companies we have today, if we look at Budweiser, Jack Daniels, you look at Walmart, look at McDonald's, these were small town grassroots companies that through a free market were able to become the conglomerates that they are. The federal government does have policies in place to protect against monopolies, right? It is illegal for one company or industry, or one company to dominate an industry. But I believe through the free market, we have the opportunity for, mom and pop's cannabis to grow craft and to bring it to the world. I feel that if it's left to like the pharmaceuticals, then they'll say they don't raise the price, because you make a good point that, medicine has that medicine does generally come down. If they don't raise the price, well, now weed comes down to a price that other companies, other mom and pop shops can't produce, because it's simply dollars and cents to a pharmaceutical industry than it is to a mom and pop shop. So that's where I see the devil. That's where I see it's like right out of the gate, you're immediately competing against a well-established, well-resourced pharmaceutical company. That would be my biggest fear. And so my point is being that we could still see small mom and pop shops make it large in a free market. It does have flaws, but less flaws than one where I think our government should be involved in the growing and smoking of weed.
Totally. Yeah. On the flip side, like, and again, like I'm playing devil's advocate, right? Like the McDonald's of America started in an era where they weren't necessarily competing with this corporate behemoth that we have today. I don't know how much a mom and pop small cannabis grower can compete with the largest agricultural companies in America, right? If they decided to get in. And again, if you ask me, I think we should legalize and regulate and see how much we want to regulate. But I'm just like trying to lay out, okay, there's always like unintended and unexpected consequences to everything. And again, I clarify. I think cannabis should be fully legal. It should be decriminalized. We should be pardoning a lot of people and expunging their records, right? Um, but I I'm not a fan of fantasizing of an ideal outcome, because that also kind of clouds our judgment, right? And so when I ask myself, hey, is Schedule 3 desirable or not? And it's like, it's a nuanced question. And it's not an ideal outcome, and it's not an outcome that I would have taken. But at the same time, I'm like, well, but the approach of all or nothing has led us nowhere. Like literally, we have not made any progress federally, right? And so it's again, it's always a dilemma. It's like, okay, do we take a small win? Is compromise capitulation, or is it a step in the right direction? And the arguments are fair on both sides, right? There's fears that are fair, but there's also, like, a lot of unfounded fear around the fact that, rescheduling does not necessarily kill state licensed programs, or does not mean that only pharmacies can dispense cannabis. And there are clear cases, right? Or clear examples to back this up and from other substances. Um, but yeah, it's always a nuanced and very difficult topic to unpack, and it's impossible to predict what policymakers and regulators will do as well, right? So even with a rescheduling or descheduling or full legalization or decrim, there are so many unexpected angles. I'm still one willing to gamble on that outcome if we're talking legalization. Whatever that looks like, I mean, we can probably deal with it later or bake it into a legalization law, whatever we want to do, and that is a debate that we need to have as a country. But it is. I forgot what I was going
You made your point. No, you made your point, and I appreciate you sharing your opinions. And I want to reiterate, your opinions and your voice that you share here is not the opinions of High Times Magazine. This is Javier. We're having a conversation, and I can appreciate that. I see you on X, on Twitter, responding, engaging with the community, justifying your articles, because it takes one thing to write them and to back them up, but it's another thing to have to deal with Twitter and kind of the animal that it is as well. One of the things, and I want to tie this to the rescheduling and tie this to how you and I came into conversation. I was kind of disappointed in an article, or at least the title of the article. I read the article that suggested. Actually, no. Let me rephrase. It was your post over an article that I had read, and I was disappointed in the kind of laissez-faire, the kind of hands-off, the easy approach that it sounded High Times was taking, or you were taking, towards the rescheduling. And where I was kind of upset is I thought, High Times needs to be definitively pro-community every time. And I feel like the rescheduling and just taking what we can get is a half a step. And more of just like being happy with what we can get. And my biggest critique in the video that I created that was titled High Times Magazine's Pissing Me Off. It's a great title. I tried to be pretty even on my argument. But I just felt like High Times has this need, or has this obligation to push back on the man and on what they want to give us, and demand more. And so how did you take that? How do you consume that? And do you have a position on the approach of how you and or High Times takes to rescheduling?
Yes. I mean, again, a lot to unpack, but
of course,
it's hard to find a balance between advocacy and unbiased reporting, right? The moment you take a specific position, you also lose certain credibility, right? In terms of it's not my opinion that matters when reporting on policy or on facts on what's going on, right? And it's a nuance. Again, it's a difficult approach for sure, right? And that was one article that talks about there's this campaign going on. Some people are scheduling, and it's fair. And this is reporting. Today, I did a story on the Drug Policy Alliance is circulating a petition for people to sign to ask President Donald Trump to not reschedule but deschedule, right? I support that, but it's again like I wonder if not taking what's on the table right now, because Trump is not saying, "Hey, do you want rescheduling or something else?" Right? Like the one offer is like take it or leave it, and we can easily leave it, which is, leaves us in the same position. It's like what you said, the known evil. We don't know what Schedule 3 looks like. I don't know. No one really knows, I think, at this point. But there is a reality that this is what is on the table. And I do see it as some kind of progress because, fewer taxes, again, I think it helps smaller producers more than it helps MSOs who are not paying 280E. It opens the doors to more research, and, you and I can argue, and I think we'll agree, there's enough research to prove that cannabis is safe, effective, and efficient for many ailments. And it's a therapeutic tool, and it's not dangerous, and it does not belong in a category that does not acknowledge its medical potential. It misrepresents its addictive potential, and then when you factor in like that alcohol and tobacco are not even scheduled, you're like, this pisses me off, right? It makes no fucking sense. But it seems that a lot of policymakers are still making this argument. More research is needed. We don't have enough research. Well, suddenly, like if you can actually do more research in America through FDA and DEA licenses and blah blah blah. At a certain point, they will not be able to argue that anymore. That will be an argument that is completely obsolete, right? So again, it's a difficult topic, and it's one that I understand why people are concerned with this move. And I agree it's not enough, right? But it's something that I ask myself every day, right? It's because in the meantime, what concerns me the most is people are still suffering. There are still people who can't access their medicine, people who are still in prison. And we're talking about many other things that are, to me, not as important as people rotting in prison or dying because they can't get their medicine, right? Or can't access their medicine because it's too expensive or whatever. So like, it's always an internal debate, and advocating for full legalization to me does not mean we cannot unpack and acknowledge, this might have this positive outcome. This half measure might be positive for this and this and that, and might hurt this and this and this, like certain people. But it's something that we at least need to discuss, right?
I totally agree with you. And just to follow that up, you said it. There are still people that are in prison. There are still people being prosecuted. Still people that are, damned and left to their own necessities, essentially because they choose cannabis. And when I see High Times, or when I read that High Times, it sounds like we should be okay with this. It is progress. I would agree with you that there's been no progress in 30 plus years in a federal level or movement or change at all. But as you just said, it's like there's still so much to work. So it's like, to me, High Times needs to be like, yes, yeah, this is okay. But like at every turn, and then, I read there was just an article a few weeks ago about, the impact of home growers on the environment and on the world as a whole. And I just thought,
Yeah, and it was the important point because everyone commented on that article and no one fucking read it. And it does not mention home growers once. They were talking like the whole article is about industrial growing, like growing at industrial scales indoors, which again is a consequence of federal illegality and this and this and that. But we cannot pretend that it's not bad for the environment to grow
totally
at
agree with you. I
an
agree with
industrial scale.
Sorry.
I would never tell anyone like, hey, you have 3, 8, 20 lights at home. It will not change anything. But when you have, like, I've been to MSO grows in cold states, and they are running thousands of lights, massive HVAC systems, all kinds of. And I don't know, like I'm an outdoor grown guy, by the way. Like I do think that we should be growing cannabis like any other plant, and that we can accomplish very comparable results, with outdoor or mixed lighting. And, a lot of people are, indoor is much better, whatever. It's like, well, maybe you're not the best grower. I've had amazing outdoor grown weed and mixed light weed that has nothing to envy to indoor grow. But my point here is like that article specifically was definitely not about home growers.
Yeah,
I would never think that a home grower is impacting the environment enough to make it a real problem. Industrial scale cultivation does. I understand why we need to do it, unfortunately. But it's like, let's not pretend that it's not there, right? If I choose not to be a vegetarian, but I cannot pretend like my eating of meat does not have an environmental impact, right? And if someone told me, hey, dude, your meat consumption is killing the planet, I'm like, yeah, I know.
but
Like,
yeah, I get that. I get that. And two things to that. You're right. It does not specifically mention home growers. I did read the article. But the thing is, it was like the heavy implication. Obviously, indoor growing at a mass scale is going to have an impact. Obviously, if you've got home growers that are slapping electrical together with shitty lights, and you're going to have some impact as well. But again, it was more so to my point that it's like High Times should have. And before I even say this, I agree that we should have these conversations. I really do, because it does way more harm to ignore the negative implications of cannabis on all levels than it does to talk about it and spread that awareness. I totally agree with you. It's again though, it's almost like it felt like there should have been a but. You know what I mean? Like a but. We're supplying in the coldest states great weed to the people, right? Like that at the end of the day, it's like, thank heavens, Colorado still has good weed, because if they left it up to Florida, then man, you got to get that weed from Florida to Colorado somehow, right? So yeah, of course there's a negative impact, but it's just, I guess it was like the totality of the articles. And then that one, and then it was like, well, when's it going to be? And again, we're only hand selecting articles, because there are a ton of great articles over there that are for the community. But it's like, I think I'm beating the horse with it. I'm beating the dead horse with this. It's just, yeah, it's just like, it feels like there should be just like sure, it's bad, but as a community, we need to unite to make sure that everyone gets good weed. That's my point.
It's fair. It's a fair assessment. I think it's valid, and like journalism is more often than not very divisive. There is no getting it right. Like whenever you make someone happy, you piss off someone else. And also, we want to ensure a diversity of voices, right? So, if someone thinks that article needs a follow-up, that is also an option. You can always email me, javier@hightimes.com, and go like, hey, I got this article. It needs to be well sourced. It needs to be linked to actual studies or something to make a strong case. But it's like that conversation was, I thought, a fair conversation, right? Like, someone brought the idea to me and said, hey, I think there's an issue here. And it's like, yeah, there is an issue. I agree. But as you said, there's a diversity of articles. Um, and every article will make someone happy and piss someone off. A couple of days ago, we posted one about like maintaining diversity and keeping long flowering, cultivars alive. And a lot of people loved it. And then some were like, yeah, but there's always like a but, right? And it's like, no, because the seed industry killed this. It's well, like, dude, I don't know. I grow, you know, long flowering. It's like, it's not like you cannot find a long flowering seed to grow at home. Now, again, it's also true that not in every state can you grow your own, right? But like, every topic will be nuanced, and always someone will find a reason to be pissed, and it's fair, right? Like, this one about long flowering sounded preachy to some. It's like, well, you're telling me that I should be doing this, but I can't. And it's like, well, yeah, this is, for those who can, and why we're saying why it's important, right? We're not telling you that you are responsible for killing long flowering, cultivars. Um, but I mean, I think like what you bring up are fair points, and especially again when you go at them from a balanced and thought out perspective and approach, where you go like, yeah, I see all this great content. I did not agree with these stories, and that is fine. Ultimately, it's trust in media is very eroded, right? Um, and the fine balance between being activists and being reporters is complicated as well, right? I do not want to erode trust to a point where everyone thinks that, hey, this is just an advocacy platform. So I cannot, like, anyone, for instance, who is not in the cannabis community, might think like, oh, this is an advocacy platform, and this information is not trustworthy because it's biased. And our mission is still to change hearts and minds. We still need to convince people, policymakers, voters, whatever it is, that we need to legalize, that cannabis is safe, that cannabis is effective for certain conditions, that there are still risks associated to cannabis use or cannabis cultivation, right? People get super pissed when someone talks about cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, right? Oh, it's a plot from Big Pharma. And it's like, well, some people, few, but some people have uncontrollable vomiting when consuming high potency cannabis. That is also a direct consequence, it seems, it's not being studied enough, of, us chasing extreme levels of THC. Right? So it's always complex. It's like, okay, if we don't touch on the topic, we're ignoring something. If we do touch on the topic, we're pissing other people off, right? But it's always a good question to ask. Is cannabis safe during pregnancy, right? And what do studies say? And there will always be a debate, and whichever position you take, someone will be pissed off. So it's always good to like, oh, here's the information. You make your decision. And that is also what people have been demanding from media for the last decade. We want unbiased information. We don't want you to be taking such a clear position. We don't want Fox News or CNN. Like, so what does unbiased look like? And then people are pissed off by that lack of bias, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
I was gonna say it feels like, if anything, High Times should be biased. It should be it's pro cannabis. It's pro cannabis. It comes from a viewpoint of pro cannabis in the form of discussion and education. Pro cannabis. I totally agree. I also don't believe in cannabis hyperemesis syndrome myself. There is a discussion to be had about it. I just don't believe it's the right term. There's other things at bay, and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, and I brought it up because I know it's controversial as well, right?
And
like,
good reporting should be controversial to some point, right? I really think it should, because when you're reporting on an issue, reporting on a topic, there's 2, 3, 4, 5. It's multifaceted. It's nuanced. You said it. So there's going to be some people upset. There's going to be some people that are You know, you can't please everyone, and the sooner you figure that out, the happier you live.
Now, here's like the caveat, right? And I learned this from journalist colleagues, right? At first, I was like, I am pro cannabis, I am pro legalization, but that is my personal opinion. And what I learned is I need to try to keep that out of my reporting as much as possible, so that the reporting is strong and unbiased. Right? You cannot like the idea is to not introduce a bias. The data speaks for itself. There are enough arguments for legalization without me saying, I think this should be legal, right? And so
I agree.
it's complicated, right? Once you enter that.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, please.
I totally agree. And you, of all people, are more than able to inform me on what it takes to be a good reporter. And I'm willing to listen. But it almost seems like High Times is in a very different position. No, someone doesn't want to go. I don't want a reporter on my news to give me their biased opinion about the news because I don't know anything, right? But it feels like no other news source or no other publication has ever fought for its legitimacy, its place in the world, and its acceptance by everyone else in a way that High Times Magazine has. So it's almost like High Times Magazine deserves to have a stick up its ass and just tell everyone, like, this is how it is. Now, I understand, and now that I'm saying this, how off-putting that could be to anyone who's not in our space. But it's almost like it's got to be brash or not at all. You know, it's like a lot of people connect with the brash and the blunt today, instead of like the centrist, grifting back and forth kind of atmosphere. And of course, High Times is in a newer position today because it's legalizing. In 1970, 80s, 90s, it was fighting in a way that it doesn't have to fight today as hard.
Yeah. No, and honestly, like, I'm going to think about what you just said, right? Because it is a fair point, and it's an interesting point, and it's a valid point.
I appreciate that, man.
I wonder, like, how offending it will be to policymakers. Will it be detrimental to our mission or not, right? Like, there's always...
I would
like,
hope that a
you're...
politician would not turn to a High Times magazine to pull out a fact to argue in Congress. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I would hope that they would go somewhere else for that kind of information. But,
fortunately, the impact and reach of High Times is that significant, right? I didn't realize it either, and then it's like you start seeing like, oh, this is very influential and matters, and what we say and how we say it really matters, right? And also, it's like everything is amplified by social media and reach and blah 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 blah. But like, it really matters, and it will be reading material for policymakers. And it's not like our audience, it's not who I'm speaking to, right? But it's something that I do want to think about this, right? Like, maybe there is a need for like stick up my ass kind of, like, you should be doing this. The thing is, like, well, it's a difficult position because you don't really know what the outcome is and what is more productive to the final goal, right? Is being a moralist and like, this should be this way, the most productive, or is it like, hey, here's why we think that this is beneficial, right? And both approaches have been tested, succeeded in some ways, and failed in others, right? But like, the thing you should do is also, there are organizations as well who do that work as well in Washington, for instance, right? The Normal and Drug Policy Alliance and SMART. What is it called? Students for SSTP, and they're. But it's something worth thinking about.
Dude, it's awesome. And I love to hear you say that, man. And like I said, High Times is very lucky to have you as the editor-in-chief. I've been watching what you've been doing. I've read your articles. You've been around for a minute too, man. One thing I always wanted to finish on. I was doing some reading about you, sir. You're a bit of a lyricist. Have you spent some time in music?
No, I sorry. No, not really. Did end up landing in a couple Billboard charting albums, but by chance. And the first one was completely coincidence. So at the time, I was trying to get John Oliver and Lin-Manuel Miranda to give me an interview together to talk about weed for Playboy magazine. They very politely said no. And so I thought, like, okay, so these guys did this poem on the show, they did a show together about Puerto Rico. So I'm going to write them a poem explaining why legalization matters to see if that tilts the scale and convinces them to give me the interview that I want. The poem failed miserably in my mission. It did not convince them. I was very frustrated. And then about a year later, I was doing a book tour for my first book called Start Your Own Cannabis Business. And I was in Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania at a conference speaking. And I finished speaking and they introduced me to this senator. And we hit it off. We started chatting. He was pro-cannabis. And I don't know what he said. Like, I love rap. And I'm like, let me show you this poem, this spoken word that I did just for fun, for the kicks. I showed him and he was like, okay, so we're having a dinner cruise tonight and we would love you to perform. I'm like, what the fuck is a dinner cruise? So he's like, dinner on a cruise. It's like, what do you mean? Like a cruise ship? It's like, no, a boat. I'm like, okay. What do I do? It's like, just wear a suit. And I showed up, I did the poem. And the next day I get a message on LinkedIn from a guy saying, hey, I'm a music producer. I'm doing this album with like Wu-Tang Clans, RZA and Inspector Deck and Twista, and Riff Raff. And, I would love to, I saw your poem on LinkedIn. I downloaded the audio and I would like to put it in the album a cappella, like just as is. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I woke up like 6 or 8 weeks later to a message saying, hey, we landed on like 8 different Billboard charts. And then he asked me for another song. That one I recorded and about something else. But it's I have no musical ambitions. It was just one of those things that happened. It's like, oh, fun, sure. Like, you want to be in an album with RZA? I'm like, yeah.
Man, what a story. And that just fell on your lap. That's incredible.
It was ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous.
Just Billboard charting on accident, dude.
And then I got to meet them in person. I was invited to a Cannabis Cup in Detroit. My favorite American city, I'm going to say it. All right. 313 forever. I love it. And I was invited to a Cannabis Cup in Detroit, and I went backstage and on stage when Wu-Tang was playing, and I got to meet them and told me, hey, you know what? And they were like, oh yeah, I remember. Maybe they were lying. I don't know. But it was an interesting full circle moment, right? And I have no musical ambitions really. I like to freestyle in Spanish, but
sweet. Hey, passions are passions, hobbies are hobbies, right? We know what we're good at. We're not going to quit our day job. That's fair. I get it. What's the most misunderstood thing about Javier?
It's an interesting question. I don't know. There's like a misconception. People cannot wrap their heads around the fact that I'm in Argentina, never lived in the U.S. Like they always reach out and go like, "You're in LA, right? You're in Miami," and then I tell them like, "How do you speak English?" It's like, well, I watched a ton of movies and listened to hip hop for a very long time, and been working, for U.S. companies for many years. But I think the biggest misconception that was a question.
Yep.
And it's one that I like to feed into, though, is that I'm a suit. Because I worked in financial journalism for many years, still write for Forbes. I'm a contributor at Forbes. And, people go like, oh, you're a suit. I'm sure you don't even smoke or grow. And, then they meet me. Like, oh, you're actually a chill dude who loves weed and is a real stoner. It's like, yeah. I also gotta have a job and pay bills, and I do like to be taken seriously.
That's fair, man. That's fair, and I can attest to that. You are a chill dude, man. It was a wonderful time to have this opportunity to have a conversation. Thank you for giving me your time. If anybody wanted to reach out to you, find you, or get a hold, where could they do that?
I'm on social media, and mostly on Instagram and X and LinkedIn. It's Javier Hasse. You can see my name down there. I think it'll show up. And if not, you can email me at javier@hightimes.com, and I will respond to every email. Not always positively, but I will try and respond to every email.
Not everyone deserves your positivity. You know, it takes a lot of energy to respond.
I don't mean positively. I am always a positive dude. I mean, like, not necessarily will I always say yes. Like, not every idea I will pursue. Not every pitch is a story for me, but not every claim is, but I am a positive person.
You
I
just
will
might not like
respond
the reply.
politely. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Javier, thank you so much for your time. You're an absolute blessing. I appreciate this conversation, and we will keep on touch over on the social media, my guy. Thank you, man.
Lovely. Thank you for having me. It's 4:20 right now here. So
Oh, nailed it.
it's
Nailed it.
there.
Enjoy your time, my guy. Take care.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye.
Wow. We'll be right back after this.
In the arms of the angel, fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear.
Hi, I'm Pigeons 420. Will you be an angel for an abused plant? Every day, innocent plants are abused, beaten, and neglected, and they're calling for your help. Please visit stashblend.com today and join the nation in helping abused plants get an 8-ounce bag of Stash Blend. That's just $27.70 or 96 cents per day. You'll be helping rescue plants from their abusers and provide nutrition, beneficial bacteria, mycorrhizae, and love. You'll help rescue plants from their abusers. Call or join now, and you'll receive a welcome kit of a photo of a dude impacted by your decision. Order now and change a life.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a huge shout out to Javier, the editor-in-chief, for coming out and have a conversation with your boy. I really respect the man for coming on here, voicing his opinion, being confident enough to be able to share his opinion with my audience and our community. It takes a lot of kahunas to be able to come up here and stand on your positions like that. So I respect it, man. I disagree with a lot of the conversation that we had and the stance and in regards to the cannabis as a whole, rescheduling, the hope for better. But what I respect was the fact that at the end he was willing to say, "You're right. I agree with you." And for that reason, it leads me to believe that High Times can still be persuaded, can still be impressioned. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. It can still, what's the word I'm looking for, babe? It can still be geared or guided, steered in the right direction. It does worry me that we associate, or we have people in this position that associate cannabis with bigger government. That worries me. But as I mentioned, this is just a belief. This is a stance, and it doesn't mean it represents High Times in any form or fashion. I want to be very clear about this. This is Javier's opinion. This is not High Times' opinion. And for that reason, I would love to invite Josh on the show so that I could have this conversation with the person that I could hold the feet to the fire, who I feel like could answer these questions in regards to what is the direction of High Times Magazine and why is it at all possible that we can take a soft approach to activism. I believe we need, as I said, High Times is like no other publication. It is the longest running pro-cannabis publication in the world. This is not a CNN. This is not a Fox News. This is not a CNBC. This is not a Forbes magazine. This is not an auto trader. This is High Times Magazine. Jam that stick up your ass and hold yourself to a position of prominence that suggests that there is only one way to move forward, and that was with legalization and nothing less. I said it earlier. When you're driving down the road and you start to look at the construction workers and the big equipment and the bulldozer, and you're thinking about crushing stuff, you're not watching the road. And guess what happens? When you quit watching the objective, you start to move towards what you're looking at. And when that happens, we veer off the target. We miss the objective. Sometimes we keep our eyes on the objective and other adventures happen. That's the only way. Period. It's either you take it or you don't, because that is High Times Magazine, or what should be High Times Magazine. I do have faith. I do think there's change. I would love to speak with Josh, and I'd love to have this conversation with him. But as I said, I respect Javier for coming on here, spilling the guts, spilling his beans. That was a wonderful conversation, and I look forward to possibly having another conversation. But I look forward to seeing where he takes the editorial directive for this magazine in the future. I had the opportunity to speak my piece. The ball's out of my court. But that's the power of the flock, ladies and gentlemen. Because of you, we were able to sit down with Javier, and that was fucking epic. So thank you guys for that, man. And I'm always reading your comments, man. Mrs. P's always staying active. I'm staying active in the comments all the time. I appreciate you guys. Never want the comments to take away from a live stream or from a conversation. I'm sorry. I don't want the comments to take away from the conversation. So it's like I'm honed in, I'm focused, and it is what it is. So I appreciate you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys for participating and just really sharing your opinions, man. I really do, because we're all passionate, and everybody was keeping respectful. Everybody was civil. And it was a conversation. It was passion. And I respect that, dudes. I respect that. Huge shout out to Chad Westport, man. Huge shout out to Couple of Plants, Living Soil. You might actually see that dude over on From the Stash in the coming weeks. But he gifted 5 memberships to the chat. And that's huge, man. And a huge shout out to David Wallman. Thank you for the membership as well. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate that. Shout out to everybody in green. Mrs. P throwing up the memberships. I saw that. Shout out to everybody over on Patreon. If you're looking for some behind the scenes content, or if you're looking for some grow classes where you can grow like me with a hands-off blue collar approach, you can head on over to patreon.com/pigeons420. And essentially, I treat that like my social media. So if you're looking for the inside scoop all the time in time and a direct link to my pocket, hit me up on Patreon, patreon.com/pigeons420. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. I think it's only important that we have a hoot, guys. I want to, again, thank you guys for putting me in a position. I never thought I would be in a position to have a conversation with the editor-in-chief of High Times Magazine. Because of you guys, because of my boys like Chris and Rob, I was able to have a conversation with guys like Tommy Chong. I've spoke with guys like Jay Chandasankar, some incredible people from our very own community who are here tonight. Shout out to Chad, shout out to CLTV. Appreciate you guys. And I've gotten to run into so many of you guys, such as the DGC Cup, whether it's in Vegas or LA. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I've met so many of you. Shout out to John. Shout out to Blaze in Arizona. Shout out to High Plains Bud. I appreciate all you guys, man, for always showing up, whether it's in the comment section, whether it's smoking that like button. I appreciate y'all, man, so much. Shout out to Trent, man. I see you out there, dude. Thank you, man. I'm gonna rip a little bit of this super boof, man. A little bit of this super boof.
And I'm gonna drop the link one more time.
What are we dropping a link for, Ms. B?
For the giveaway for Seedsman 5-pack seeds. I hit enter, but it didn't do anything. There we go.
Shout out to my soulmate, Doug. Shout out to everybody, man. Thank you guys so much for pulling up. That was an epic show, and I was very blessed to be able to sit down and have that conversation. So, yeah, shout out to you guys. If you didn't know, we're doing a giveaway, baby. We got a 5-pack. You're gonna do 2 5-packs.
2 5-packs?
2 5-packs.
Okay.
Gonna message Steve me like, I'm changing things up.
2 separate winners.
2 separate winners. We're gonna do 2 winners.
Yeah.
2 winners, baby.
When I asked, to be honest, he really didn't say much other than I'm always down to support the show. So
yeah.
There were no specifications of what was happening.
Was it Otto?
Yeah.
Shout out to Otto, man. That's our guy.
It was just, yeah.
Shout out to Otto. That's our guy over at Seedsman, man. Shout out to Seedsman. If you're looking for quality genetics, head over to Seedsman. Use promo code PIGEONS420. Save yourself a few dollars off at checkout and get some quality genetics, man. Shout out to all our sponsors real quick since got you hanging on the edge for a giveaway anyways. I want to shout out to Vivo Sun. Shout out to Vivo Sun if you're looking for some quality grow equipment for a good price, man. Head on over to vivosun.com. Use promo code PIGEONS420. Not only do you support the show, you get some great equipment, but hey, hopefully you can grow some good quality weed too. Huge shout out to Spider Farmer, spider-farmer.com. No fancy pull up. I don't know what I'm doing here.
I was going to say, how come we don't have one for them?
How come we don't, Spider Farmer?
No, that's on us.
Yeah, that's just in. That's on us.
Okay, that's on me.
Way to go, Miss P.
I'll make one for next week.
You're fired.
I'll make one for next week.
Huge shout out to Spider Farmer if you're looking for quality lights, quality budget friendly lights. We're all about budget friendly here. Let me be honest, man. I'm a budget friendly guy. This is a blue collar way. Okay, spider-farmer.com. Anything. Promo code PIGEONS420. I do get a kickback for, I think it's like 5%, 8% or something, maybe 10 in some of these places if you do spend or if you do use the promo code. So shout out for all those that support the show, man. Full transparency, dude. So I appreciate you, man. Shout out to Idiom. I see him in the chat, dude. I see you in the chat. What do you think? Ready? Are we ready? Ready to do a giveaway. Winners have to be in the chat at this very moment in time. If you're not here, then you don't win. It's just that simple. Okay? I don't make the rules. I just follow them.
Robert, I will always own up to being the one that screws things up. Don't you worry.
I'm not in control of anything here.
I am always transparent about what I'm lacking, especially on this show.
Yeah. Honestly, love you, girl. For the record, it's me. She's taking one for me. I'm the one that does all of the
No, because I mentioned it to you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And I didn't do it.
Yeah, but to be I could have done it though.
Yeah, you could have. We're
Just
gonna make it happen.
Instead of just telling you to do it, I could just do it.
We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it. It'll be a little graphic. It's gonna pop up. It's gonna be orange. It's gonna say the website and the promo code. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna look actually something like the ones for my Instagram, my X, and my
Twitch.
Is that what it is? Twitch. Yeah. Look at these ones. Oh, I made all these. You can follow me over on Twitch. Actually, as a matter of fact, thank you to IB Growin. Thank you for the follow over on Twitch. I saw you hit that follow button like 13 minutes ago. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. I'm always watching, man. Thank you for hitting that follow button. Twitch, we're live every damn day, actually. I'm dialing back days at the moment, but let's be honest, I have an addiction problem.
We've just had, things have been hectic lately, so it's been...
It has been.
Tight.
It's back to school. It's been back to school. So
you started duck hunting. We've got hockey tryouts coming up.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're kind of everywhere.
It's been crazy busy, guys. Crazy busy in the house. I wasn't going to tell anyone because it's not an excuse, but I have been duck hunting all week, and it was back to school. So we have been busy. He could have done it instead of going duck hunting. Chaotic knew. He knew. He knew. I was duck hunting all week.
Hey, I'm just waiting for him to bring me one home.
Looking for my first duck.
So that I can look up some killer recipes because
we're eating duck.
Duck is we had duck when we went to Vegas.
Yeah.
like the very first time, and it was so good.
So good.
So good. So I'm looking forward to cooking with it.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet. Hockey tryouts tomorrow.
start tomorrow.
Start tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. It's like a week's process.
Oh,
So
Friday,
it's gonna be
Saturday,
intense.
Sunday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then if he makes it through that, then they give us the next set.
Yeah, it's gonna be intense. Very intense. So it's gonna be stressful around here, but we're gonna handle it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. Let's do it. First winner for the Seedsman giveaway. Take my glasses off now. Oh. I don't need them. I don't need to see nothing. Seedsman giveaway for a pack of 5.
On the way.
Our first winner is
El Chapo.
oh my guy. There, that's perfect. That's my guy, El Chapo.
Okay, and second one
He'll be in the chat. It's no big deal if he's not. He wins anyway.
is Sean Dixon.
Hey,
I seen him tonight too.
Let's go.
Bird on bird violence. He just said it.
What about violence?
Bird on bird violence.
Oh, that was
Because you're shooting ducks.
Sean. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Sean, you win, bro.
Nice.
You win, bro. Guys, just a real quick disclaimer if you're new here and you're wondering, if you're thinking, fuck, these fucking giveaways are rigged. Yeah, they are. They are.
No, they're not.
They are. You want to know how they're rigged? Is I only do them unannounced.
Fair.
Okay? I only do them unannounced. I gave no heads up for this. Maybe I might have mentioned on Patreon that there was a reason to tune in today. Maybe. But I don't do any kind of announcement of a giveaway during the show. I like it to be sporadic, and I just like to reward members of the community. Members of the community have heard me say this plenty of times, so they already know. It's like, yeah, we know, but this is it, man. It's like when I see names that have been in this community forever winning prizes, shit, we won, man. We won. So, we're on camera?
No.
Oh. So, yeah. Don't patronize us, Pete. I appreciate you guys so much. What are we looking at, Ms. B? What am I looking at?
Comments.
Oh, okay. Just checking things out. However, congratulations to the wieners. We will be in contact with you. Okay, so don't expect. We'll be in contact with you, and you won't have to pay anything. That's what I was gonna say. So don't expect to be in contact by anybody and asking one of us asking you for money. That's just not gonna happen.
No, I'll shoot you an email tomorrow morning-ish at the email that you registered with asking for all your details, and then we'll get those out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Nug Shrub, I see you. I emailed you. Check your junk mail.
Hey, Nug Shrug. Is he in the chat?
Yeah, never got my giveaway. I emailed you like 4 times, my friend.
Yeah, we've emailed you a ton of times, my guy. Check your emails, my man. Check your junk mails.
I don't know why it would go to junk mail because there's no attachments or anything, but you never know. So
Yeah. But yeah, Nug Shrug. Check your junks, dude. We've been talking about you. Because we have your email, and I know I got it correct. So yeah, double check it. Always here, man. I know you're always here, and that's what I appreciate, dude. So we'll make sure we get you done up right. But yeah, we've sent a few emails, so just double check. Just double check for me, dude. But yes, but as for Chapo and as for Sean, we got you, dudes. Thank you guys so much. Huge shout out to Seedsman for sponsoring today's giveaway. Huge shout out to you guys, man, for being here. Huge shout out to Javier for voicing his opinions and just having a great conversation. Thank you guys for putting me in an opportunity to do these kind of things because it's pretty damn awesome. Thank you, Chapo, for the $5. The $5. Thank you so much. I had a strange feeling and it came true. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you, man. Richard, thank you. Rich Buds, Idiom, appreciate you. Hard work, giving shit away. It can be. It definitely can be. I always do this. It can be. But it's the least I can do, man, to say thank you. Garden Quest, good to see you. Robert Barron, thank you for being here, man. Sean, you too, dude. We'll be in touch. Kurt, appreciate you, brother. Tiber, you too, man. We'll see you guys over on Twitch, man. Brina, thanks for being here, girl. Nug, thank you, dude. Hopefully find that email. El Chapo, we'll keep in touch, dude. Trent, see you, brother. See you, Dro. See you, Scotty. See you, Idiom. We'll see you guys next week. Just keep in mind we won't be live on the 25th. There's no show on the 25th. Mrs. P and I have a date. Okay? On a roll. He's going to write this down for me. All right? Until next time, guys. Enjoy your nights. Have a great week. And we'll see you on Twitch tomorrow. Am I live? I should be home tomorrow.
Yeah, we should be back from tryouts.
Bye, Cheryl.
9.
See you, Canadian Outdoor Strain.
9.
See you, Chaotic. See you, High Plains. See you, Chris. See you, Garden. See you guys. We'll see you tomorrow night on Twitch. See you, Colt. See you, Nate. Peace.
I can't believe diamonds so pearls, and I don't know to take a trail